Good morning, ISB, and the Dean and most respected dignitaries of the ISB, and Mr. Chaudhary, Jayant, who is a coordinator, and also Somasekhar, who is the moderator for the first session here today. A very warm welcome to all of you into Hyderabad and ISB. We are very, very proud that an institution like ISB is functioning here from Hyderabad, and as a government of Telangana, we are constantly in sync with them, very, very supportive of the initiatives taken by ISB, and we take great pride that ISB produces world-class material. And congratulations to you on all of your efforts. And when I heard the name ISB Policy Conclave, and particularly youth concept, I'm one of the persons who passionately believe that, unless and until youth gets involved, nothing in India is going to change. Although I am from a political class where I'm supposed to say that we know everything, we don't. We honestly don't. And we need to take more and more inputs from the society, and in particular from the youth, and then only I believe we could change the policies of our country for better. I mean, we have done great many things in this country. We've broken many, many rules, expectations, regular, normal flow, and we today stand somewhere in the world. I mean, imagine a country in 1970s in India, where people would still look at us like snake charmers. But today people, know that whenever you say India, they think of a laptop. They don't think about anything else. So for us as a nation, we did progress quite a bit. But is the progress equal? Is the progress, did it actually trickle down to the lowest rung population in the society? I think these are some issues at this point of time, where India is looking only towards wealth creation, but not an equitable wealth distribution at the ground level. I think this is the time where youngsters need to get involved and think about how do we create wealth, and also how do we make sure it goes down to the lowest rung of the people. And see, whenever a topic like reservation comes up, all the politicians, all the political parties, they really stand guarded. They're very, very afraid to say anything about reservations. There are various issues. Is the reservation system good, bad? What is to be done with it? How long should we continue? Age-old questions. But none of us were able to answer it for 72 years. All of us know when the constitution was made, when India got independence, all of us, like tall leaders like Nehruji, Ambedkarji, all of them decided that yes, a level playing field is required. Reservations are important, but then they cannot be perpetual. They thought we could end them in the first 10 years after the independence, because they had confidence, belief in their own leadership capability, that in these 10 years, we can probably create a good level playing field to everybody, so that each person from a very humble background to probably the richest of the kid from Indian household gets an equal opportunity. That did not happen. And where did we go off track? Where did our leaders' plan fail? How did we go off track? Is something really the political class is afraid to review. In fact, when we were just walking down to this venue, I was saying that, political class wants a status quo in very, very sensitive issues. But I am a younger face of politics, and I believe we should not be afraid. I mean, why should the Indian government till date be afraid of revealing what is the OBC population of this nation? Unless and until we know what is the demographic raw material that we are working with, how do you expect me to make a policy? If I don't know how many BCs we have, how many SCs we have, how many OCs we have, or whatever population or the demographic makeup we have as a nation, how do we make policies to make sure that the wealth is distributed among everybody? And how do I hold the hand of the person as a government who is in the most need of my help? Is that happening today? These are some serious issues. I believe we should really look into them very, very seriously, especially the youngsters. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to have a serious opinion. Don't be afraid to think beyond, the status quo. Unless and until we think beyond that, we can't change things. And having said that, I would like to just share some facts. Today, the existing system of reservation in the central government jobs is 7.5% ST, and 27% OBC, 15% SC, and the rest is said to be general. So this is what central government gives. And every state has a different quota system again. Tamil Nadu has a 69% quota system. Rajasthan tried to add some of the forward classes like Gujars and wanted to give 68%. Well, there are some roadblocks to it. Maharashtra gives a 52%. Bengal probably gives way too less. So each state has a different number. And I support this. Why do I support this? Because as a nation, Indian government can have a homogeneous policy, understood. But that won't suit me as a state. Today I'm a new state. Telangana state came into existence from 2014. Now once 2014 Telangana state was formed, my population of STs shot up from 7.5% to 12%. Now how do I accommodate my 12% STs into the existing 7.5% quota system? Now my BC population shot up by another 12%. How do I support them? Now as a government, if I want to support the reservations, if I want to support the people who are not having access to education, jobs, etc., I think I should be able to lend my hand to everybody who is in need. And if I can't do that as a state government, I believe there is no meaning to call this nation a federation of states. We are, after all, a federal setup, and I believe whatever quota central government of India gives for the union government jobs, that is different, but state government jobs, state government should be able to decide what is the quota system, depending upon the demographic of the states. That is not happening right now in India. Our leader, Honorable Chief Minister of Telangana, Shri K. Chandrasekhar Rao Garu, he is a great proponent of this idea and is constantly making efforts to make sure that the reservation, that the power to decide the reservation in the state government jobs should be vested with the state governments themselves. That's one aspect. And when I interact with people from my constituency and people in general, one question I face from various segments, and that is, okay, you have a reservation system in jobs. Agreed. We don't mind that. But what about education? Shouldn't each and every one of us, whether from a so-called, I do not believe in the backward forward classes, but the so-called forward classes, there are poor people in that. So-called backward classes, there are multimillionaires in that. So people keep asking me questions. Why shouldn't we get good education? Why shouldn't all of us get opportunity to good education? And I totally understand and support this initiative. Again, as a state government, our party, our leader, believes in a concept of free education to all, from KG to PG. Telangana government is struggling very hard to give free education to each and every student of this state. And tomorrow, I believe this should be extended across the nation. Telangana, as you know, has shown way in a lot of policies, starting from agriculture to finance to health, etc. Tomorrow, when this KG to PG will be implemented very successfully in Telangana, I'm very sure that this will be taken up by the youth of the country, and this will become a national agenda. And I would say, as a engineering graduate myself, I got a 5,000 something rank in MSET. I had to pay for my engineering seat, whereas few other friends of mine who did not qualify got a free seat. And at that point of time, it was a point of discussion, and we felt kind of, why is the government, biased against us? Not that every family is comfortable to pay for a seat. Why are we biased? So to remove this kind of a bias and this kind of a differences that we create in our young minds from the student age, I believe a KG to PG free education system for this country is the only way. Once we educate our children, they will not look for government jobs. They have hundreds of opportunities. I want to share one last figure with you, then I'll close. Today, out of all the jobs created in this country, only 7% are government jobs. And imagine this whole fuss of reservations is about just the 7%. If it is only about jobs, people are still willing to, put up with it. But when it comes to education, denying education to anybody, people are not ready. And I believe that is where governments should not run away from the social obligation of providing free education, from the social obligation of providing free health, and that should be the way forward. And Jayant and your team, I believe when you're giving us the manifesto, please include these points. It's very essential that we bring all the political parties on board to these major issues. And I just want to end with this. Any further questions we would have, we'll take it up with sir. Thank you so much.
Well, that was a very interesting and I think exhaustive introduction to the topic and the subject, and I think it will set a tone for the day's discussion. I would like to start with the Telangana state itself. I'm quite happy that the state represents several manifestations like political aspirations, regional disparities, the demand for reservations, the demand for jobs, and so on. And also, there are two interesting examples that the government has in a way succeeded. One is the social welfare schools for SC/ST, and you have excellent examples of young girls doing very well in the country. The second is the minorities schools that you have proposed, say around 200 schools for minorities at a investment of 8,000 crores. Now, I can see when we travel in Old City, the change that is coming about in women, young ladies going to schools and colleges. So, 10 years later, I can see a lot of change. But the third thing that state government did was trying to introduce 12% reservation for minorities with economic criteria. Now, that became political. Are you in the right direction in introducing this extra reservations and creating a major issue, a debate? Is it the right thing forward when you yourself say that there are not many jobs ahead?
First of all, sir, the decision to provide reservation for minorities was not political but was made political and expected to be. Current regime in the country wants to work and polarize on that line, so it is expected to be made political, point one. But point two, many of the young minds and most of the people sitting here today, I can just ask them one question, to be very honestly. Today, if we go to any village and ask a person, which is the poorest area in your village, they'll certainly take us to the Dalit colony. But in a town, in a city like Hyderabad, if you ask them, where is the poorest locality, they'll take us to the slums and also to these areas where most of the Muslim population lives. It is a fact established by many committees like Sachar committee that Muslims today in this nation are even worse than the Dalits in terms of economic empowerment. Now, when that is the reality of my state, how do I provide a level playing field for the Muslim community in my state? They are actually a part and parcel of the BC community, never been given reservations earlier. When we took the census, we understand that there are 12% Muslims in Telangana state. Now, out of them, when we look at the education parameters, job, economic empowerment, they are in a horrific state. And state needs to stand up to them, hold hands with them, promote them in every which way. And as I said, that is the demand of the state. If my population needs hand-holding in the minority area, why shouldn't I hold their hand? Why should it be looked at up in a religious angle? That is why our honorable leader always said that the 12% reservation for the Muslims has to be provided in addition to the BC quota that we currently have, because our population shot up when the state was divided. And that should be understood by the central government and also the people. There's nothing religious about it. Poverty has no caste, no religion, no gender, sir. Poor people are treated badly, whether it is a poor Brahmin or a poor Dalit. They're not respected in the society. All of us know that. So poverty has no lines. And if we look at, anything other than poor people, when we look at poor Muslims, then I think we need to grow up as human beings. That is all I think.
No, I'm not referring to the religious part of it. I'm only referring to the economic criteria, because if you look at the results of the last 4 years, the TRS party has done well in the election itself. In a way, it reflects the good policies perhaps. But if you look at the flip side, the major aspiration of youth in Telangana in terms of jobs, I don't think the government has been able to fulfill. And you look at the jobs generated in the private sector, it's all in IT and ITES, and most of the students from rural backgrounds have not benefited from this. So would you look at jobs in private sector also should be reserved, or how do you propose to take this forward and benefit people who really fought for the state, who really require this advantage in this country and state.
So basically, when Telangana state was agitating for a separate statehood, youngsters certainly were spearheading the movement along with the leader, and all of us fought for it, finally achieved the state. Now when it came to the job creation, even during the state agitation, the promise made by the government was, once our state is formed, we'll have about 1 lakh government jobs. And that will certainly go to the youngsters of the day. So 1 lakh government jobs, we were able to give notifications, sir, that we did not fail them. But yes, in addition, apart from the government jobs, there was a lot of job creation done in the private area. You have seen in industry-wise, Telangana today is the #1 state in attracting investments, and we've at times surpassed Maharashtra in terms of attracting investment. Today, Telangana is house for the second largest place for Google, Amazon. We have all the global leaders here in Telangana. So government policies are certainly in a good shape, otherwise so many private people would not come here, point 1. Point 2, as I said in my opening remarks also, the percentage of government jobs offered across the nation or by any state government is just 5 to 7%. Rest of all have to be in the private sector or self-owned businesses. We need to create more job creators, and our policies today in the governments. And when I speak about reservations, sir, I proudly say in Telangana state, not only in the jobs, not only in terms of providing education to these marginal sectors, when it comes to the loans given by the state governments to their entrepreneurial ventures, we are one of the states on the top 5 who give more loans to Muslims, BCs, SCs, in general, the backward communities. And we don't hold back. From 20 lakhs to 5 to 6 crores is given away, quite a bit. I can share the numbers with you. As far as I know, it is more than 12,000 SCs, STs who have already gotten loans in the last 5 years. Entrepreneurs I'm speaking about. So empowerment and reservation, when I say, it is not just to the jobs. It is in the education, it is in giving away loans, it is in various government schemes. So when we increase the quota, we'll be able to accommodate people in general on a larger base.
Coming to the economic criteria for reservations, the BJP-led government, Narendra Modi has introduced this 10% reservation. Do you think this is the right way forward? In terms of generating more jobs, better education and so on. And since there is lack of data and also the cap that they have put on the 8 lakhs, it will keep changing within 4 or 5 years. Is it implementable? Is it a positive thing according to you?
First of all, the politician in me has now, back. So I have to say this was an election jumla and nothing else. Because, even before you can implement it, you are out of power and we are not sure if he's going to come back to power. So why introduce it now when you are on the way to your exit? That is one, not fair, and this is nothing but playing with the emotions of people of the country. 2, although it is done with a political motive, it's a good move. But then as again I said, we do not know what is the raw material we are dealing with. We have no clue how many EBCs we have. What is the criteria? As you rightly said, if 8 lakhs is a parameter, with regular inflation it changes every year. How do you eliminate? Now when BJP was in power for the last 5 years, there were demands about eliminating creamy layer from the BC, SC, ST reservation. They did not make any move. They do not want to antagonize anybody. Now if you are saying that it is 8 lakhs and below is the limit, next year the person who got reservation now will be automatically eliminated. What will you do? How will you be able to provide reservation to those families? So these questions they don't answer because election is around the corner. You just want to give a political jumla at this point of time, they have done it. But there is no sincerity behind that effort. Move is good. Ultimately, as I said, poverty has no religion, no caste. Every poor person needs a hand holding from the government. But without a number, without a demography, how are you going to do that? We need to be accountable, I believe, and BJP is not doing that right now.
But what has happened in the last 3 months, as you rightly said, has been a subversion of the whole thing. And if you look at our neighboring state, they have said 5% reservation for couples should be included. Then you go to Rajasthan, Gujars are agitating. If you go to Gujarat, the Patidars are agitating. If you go to Haryana, the Jats are agitating. Now you have a trend where caste groups are asserting a lot. So will this completely change the whole discourse of reservations in the coming elections, or you feel that economic criteria alone should be the long-term benchmark for reservations?
So there are two facades to this issue as per my understanding goes. One, we cannot rule out the caste system of India. It is a 7,000-year-old system. We are trying to fight against it. How far we are successful, I can't say. Don't we discriminate? Isn't there untouchability? Is it not true? It is true today. So you cannot just look away and say there is no caste system, I'll give a universal policy. Because even within SC/STs, there are many subgroups who have till date not been able to take advantage of the reservation system. What do you say about that? How do you think about that? How do you go about framing up policies for them? So there are various issues, sir. Caste cannot be eliminated from this system as of now, today's point of view. Well, we can all aim for egalitarian society, but it is work in progress. It cannot be done today. And two, if Gujars are agitating, if Kapus are agitating, if Marathas are agitating, that is because there are poor Gujars, there are poor Jats, there are poor Marathas, and there are poor Kapus. They are agitating, they feel left out. And that is when we need to add the economically backward criteria also and provide reservation, while be bold enough to think about eliminating, some sections if they have already availed the reservation. It has to be given a serious thought. All I am trying to say is we should not be afraid to look into these issues. Policies, if need to be formed and shown a better way to the youth tomorrow, reviewing ourselves, introspection is the best thing to do, and the government should be bold enough to do that.
Is there a case, say for example, in caste-based reservations, people do well, they migrate upwards in terms of better economy, household economy, they do well. For example, pardon me for taking names, but there are tribes called Meenas. I used to wonder in the 80s and 90s from UP and MP. A lot of IPS, IAS officers are there in that group. Similarly, one of our leaders here, Mr. P. Shivshankar, he really struggled, became very successful, a minister and so on. So there are several examples. Is there a case where you have statistics and these people, migrate into a different category and you implement it? Or that's not, it's completely utopian. Is there data to support any chance of migrating into better reservation?
Why are you trying to get me into trouble, sir? These things, we have really never looked into it, neither the state government nor the central government, no, none of us. In general, there are perceptions in various communities that yes, this community has already availed the benefit, they don't deserve it anymore, but how do we back it up with data? As I said, it doesn't exist. There's no data whatsoever. I mean, the amount of effort the government has put in giving the reservations, data is not there. I heard few figures, sir, but I'm not sure if they are correct or if they can be, backed by the government. So I would only say this. For me, everybody is an Indian, either he's a poor or rich or any community, any caste, doesn't matter. Government should be neutral and provide for everybody. That much I can say. How do I work for it? How do we pass the roadblocks? This is to be thought about very seriously. And as I said, unless and until a very bold, transparent leadership comes at the central level, the reservation freedom cannot be given to the states. It will not work, because India is not just a country, it is a continent. Each one of our states has great needs, very diverse. So each of the states should have the independence, and then we can probably eliminate most of the differences, is what I feel.
I think one of the most vital factor that is going to determine 2019 elections, according to many people, is the vote by women. Now, women's reservation is something which I think we've been fighting, and you've been in Parliament for the last 4.5 years now, 5 years. Now, for the last 2 decades, 30% reservation for women in Parliament has been an issue. I was fortunate to listen to debates during the mid-90s when leaders like Mulayam Singh Yadav, Lalu Yadav and so on opposed it. in the last 10 years, there is some sympathy or empathy to having this. But I feel as a right, it should have been implemented. And as a strong leader from here and a very articulate MP, is it a right step? Is something happening? Should it happen? Or will it happen? What have you seen?
So forget that I'm an MP or I hail from this state, sir. I would like to say, just as a woman, when they said the quota of the women is to be set at 35%, my first question as a woman to myself was, why 35? It should be 50. You know, we are 50% of us in this country, and you are setting a quota at 35. God knows who arrived at that 35 percentage figure. 33%. I tried to look into it, sir, but could never get a correct answer. Why did the Congress party set that at that point of time when they were bringing the bill at 35%? Chalo, theek hai. If at all that is a good start, we wouldn't mind. Start with 35 and probably, you know, increase it to 50 whenever. Because we have done that here in the state, in all the local bodies, in all the municipal bodies, we have done that. But to the state, we can't legislate. That has to be again sanctioned by the central government. We did not do that. So there are various factors. As a woman, I would feel. Now, when I wear my politician hat, I know that this is an issue that has been played around with quite a long time. And this current government, BJP government, also came into power saying that we are going to pass the bill. But somehow, you know, everybody conveniently forgot about it. The most articulate leaders like Smriti Irani, Sushma ji, madam whom I respect so much, all of them forgot about it. And again, as I said, we are the silent 50% in this country. And I believe we need to keep the struggle on. For me, it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. But we'll have to work on it.
I expected an example from your government here by having women ministers in your TRS cabinet. So last time I have written during the first term that there are no candidates, women ministers. At least this time I expected. Perhaps there is still hope. I would like to see your influence in getting women so that a leadership role for a woman makes substantial difference. Representation does not, according to me, because if you look at a lot of Panchayat Raj bodies, there are a lot of women represented, but there is no power with them. So it doesn't reflect and translate into more women holding power and influencing it. Is it a possibility in the next, 6 months or so?
I believe, sir, you are undermining the power of panchayats or ZPTCs or the corporators. Each and every public representative position is a position of leadership. A sarpanch, if she works well, she can change the whole village. It is a very powerful position. So you are conveniently forgetting the factor where South India, especially Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, set an example to the whole of the nation by giving 50% reservation to women, point one. Point two, so today in my Telangana assembly, we only have 4 women MLAs in the TRS party.
Yeah, one.
Yeah, out of 85 plus, we only have 4 women. Now, I have never shied away. And again, I today reiterate, no party, it could be TRS, it could be Congress, it could be BJP, whichever party it is, will not give equal space to women unless and until it is mandated by the Election Commission of India or the Parliament of India. And that is where I say, I want to stress again and again, unless and until it is a legislation, unless and until it is a rule, unless and until it is mandatory, women will never get equal positions. Now, if you talk about me wielding my power around with my father, I don't think that's how it works in politics. I'm a very junior member in the party. I'm a first-time member of parliament. And me influencing my leader who with a 40-year experience is not going to work. Trust me on that. And especially with women, it has to be mandatory. Any party it could be. And I've never shied away from saying this because TRS is no different from any other party. Pick any party in random and check what is the women's representation. And it is only where women leaders like Mamata Banerjee, like Jayalalitha, they made a difference in their states. They made sure they gave 35%. So unless either it has to be a women leader, I guess, or a political party mandated, then only women can get some space.
Last question, reservation for women in education has been a wonderful success story, especially in engineering. You yourself are a good engineer. If you look at the jobs, the new emerging industry, there are a lot of women, visible in industrial environment. And if you look at the next 10 years when artificial intelligence, machine learning and all this dominate, I am sure a lot of women will enter into this. and 30% reservation in engineering and showing results. So perhaps that's a good way of looking at how reservations can have a positive effect. Thank you very much.
Hello. So we have a few questions. In the interest of time, a lot of questions were on similar theme, so we have kind of collated them together to do that. One of the points you addressed right now itself was that TRS has fielded only 4 candidates out of 105. Why do you think it was a challenge to field? What are the challenges you faced while fielding women candidates?
Not only TRS, any party while fielding the candidates looks at a factor called winnability, and that depends on various issues, not just the gender. As I said, we are a heavily divided society on lines of caste, class, etc. Everything kind of matters. And I'll again reiterate, unless and until it is mandatory, not many women are going to come. So when you select either a male or a female candidate for election, political party leadership is only going to look at one criteria: will I get this seat or not? So they will not look at the equation, they will not look at anything except the winnability. Nothing else matters.
One more question is regarding the minorities. With the recent 10% reservation for economically backward, do you believe the 10% extra reservation, if existing 50% reservations were implemented, only for the needy economically backward people, is it necessary, and what challenges do you foresee in the effective implementation?
I guess I already answered the question. It is certainly necessary, but then how do we implement it? How do we transparently implement it? How do we eliminate it, the ones who already were benefited, etc., are the questions that are to be very seriously looked into.
Okay. Ashish from the audience asked a very specific question. Will minority reservation hold against the basic structure doctrine of the Constitution, as it has categorically excluded religion-based reservation? Or religion, yeah.
As I said earlier, we have not asked reservations on religion basis. We've asked reservation on the basis of poverty, and Muslims in Telangana across this country fall under the category of BCP. So they're already classified under backward classes, but then they're not given enough opportunities is what we believe. That is where we are propagating it on the basis of poverty, not on the basis of religion.
Just one last question. Avnesh from the audience, he has asked that the reservation policies have failed to advance the state of economically and socially backward sections of the society. So have we measured the impact or the effectiveness of the policies themselves?
They have not failed, I believe. We have not succeeded as much as we should have, done, but they have not failed. I can give you a quick example, comes on the top of my head. In the parliament, we are supposed to have 79 SC MPs today, but then we have about 81 of them. So there's this 2 extra MPs who came in not through reservations, fought and came in a general. So this is a very small rise, but it is going to increase is what I believe. So when we provide reservation, that is probably the first step from which we will expect to progress. So there has been tremendous improvement in terms of jobs, government jobs. The percentage of SCs, BCs, OBCs has increased. Women percentage has increased. But then not up to our expectations.
There was just a follow-up on this, that most of the reservations are talked with regard to education and jobs. What is being done with respect to credit and finance aspect of it for these people?
Yes, exactly. That is something the state governments have been very actively doing. Many state governments have seen, they now pass on the benefits, like our state, where we give a house site or a house or the land that is given on the name of the lady of the house, not to the male. And then when it comes to the entrepreneur skills, especially in the South Indian states, the self-help groups of women have been very successful. Telangana state government gives about 8,000 crores every year to the self-help groups. And the return on investment, sir, as you said, or the payback of these loans is 99.2% in Telangana state. The women pay very dedicatedly. So we are doing that. Most of the states are doing that. But then, there's a lot more to be done also.
Thank you so much, Kavitha ma'am, and thank you so much, Somasekhar sir. I would now like to invite Nitya Samuel to present a token of gratitude from our side.